White people, if you are white and you're listening to this, listen very closely.
No, mate, that's where it stops. The fuck I'm listening to you, mate. Our governments are running scared. Let's have a look at it. Now, this young lady here, Shabama Mahmood, of course, that's quite famous on this channel for many, many reasons. She's the UK's Home Secretary, a Muslim woman. She was sworn in on the Quran. I want you to listen to what she says about being English.
And yes, we are a diverse one too. You can be English with roots here that stretch back 1,000 years. But you can also be English and look like me.
No, you can't. No, mate, you can't, Shabama, because English is an ethnicity. I'm like half English, I'm half Welsh, a little bit German as well. So it can be complex and it can be nuanced. But there is a big issue at the moment with the government and authority being very worried about people actually bringing up their own ethnicity. This is Jeff Hoon, former Defence Secretary with Nigel Farage on GB News. Listen to what he has to say.
No one can object to the use of the Union flag. I am British.
Or the cross of St George?
Well, that's what I want to come to, Nigel. I am British. That's my flag, and I don't believe that it's possible to challenge anyone for using that. What I'm not so sure about is the cross of St George. The cross of St George is an English flag. Now, when England play football, perfectly right that that should be displayed. When England play rugby, why are people displaying the cross of St George and claiming that that is somehow patriotic?
Because they're English, mate.
What's wrong with Englishness?
Well, because, and there's nothing wrong with Englishness, but what is wrong is English nationalism. We are a united country.
I see. So
I do not believe that it is necessary to emphasise nationalism.
Jeff. You're part of a government that gave vent to Scottish nationalism. You were part of a government that gave vent to Welsh nationalism, part of a government that compromised with Irish nationalism, but we can't be English nationalists.
No, we can be English and we can be proud of being England when England are playing football or England are playing...
Now, the issue, of course, is that they are terrified of people declaring themselves as English and not British. But as we know, anyone that comes to the UK, no matter how they came here, all of a sudden can be British. No offence, mate, that's not actually your train. Like, you didn't pay any money to have that train. You haven't paid any money into the British economy yet to actually be able to put your foot on that train. If I'm there, I'm dragging that guy off. And of course, one of the biggest problems we have in the UK is that anyone can come here and all of a sudden declare themselves as British. Have a look at this real quick. I don't think women should have any rights and LGBTQIA plus people should be executed. Wow, what a completely primitive arsehole you are. You must be a Republican. No, actually, I'm a Muslim and those are my religious beliefs. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologise. I hope you don't think I'm Islamophobic. I'm not going to play more than about 5 seconds of this, but just listen to what this guy says at the very start.
White people, if you are white and you're listening to this, listen very closely.
No, mate, that's where it stops. The fuck I'm listening to you, mate. See, the problem is people don't realise that when they come to this country, they are actually guests of the natives in this country. So it doesn't matter where you're from, mate. When you come here, if they want to give you a British passport, take it, fine. You can do what you want, but you're never going to be English. And that's the problem. You're not going to be Welsh. You're not going to be Scottish. You're not going to be Irish. You're going to be British. You're going to be a British Muslim or whatever it is, but you're never going to be English. Your ethnicity is not English. Mine's half English, half Welsh, a little bit German. You're never going to be English. Let's look at some of these foreigners.
Will not tolerate the disrespect of our Prophet, peace be upon him, and there will be outcomes from your actions. You will have repercussions for your actions. We have been trained from birth that we must defend the honor of our Prophet, and we will lay our life on the line.
Okay, you know, the other argument is, but okay, so if you don't like it here, go to your own country.
But why would we do that when our forefathers were instrumental in rebuilding this country after World War II? It was our grandfathers who worked in the factories 20 hours. It was our grandfathers who came here and run the infrastructure. It was our grandfathers who brought you the lovely curry, which is your national dish. So how can you tell us to go? We're not going nowhere. We are here to stay. Like I say, we're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
I like that. Mate, that's all you had to say. That's all you had to say. Because we know it's true. We know that is what Islam is doing. Let's listen to an FBI agent talk about it.
The entire purpose of Islam, according to all Islamic doctrine, is to ensure that there is an Islamic state throughout the entire world called a caliphate, and under that, Sharia or Islamic law is the law of the land. That's it. And the vehicle to do that is called what? Jihad, which in 100% of all published Islamic law is only defined as warfare against non-Muslims.
Now, one of the big issues we've got then is even Muslim countries think Britain has a problem with Islamism, which is the politicized form of Islam. Pretty much Islam is politicized. I don't even see it as a religion. And what I'm warning you about is that it's here. Almost 10% of the country at the moment. Liz Truss reckons it's 10%. Around 6 to 7 million people in the UK are Muslims. I haven't got a problem with individual Muslims. I've said it before. I've got a problem with Islam. I've got a very, very big problem with Islam, especially as a Christian Roman Catholic man. Since Labour came to power, it's become clear that the battle against extremism has taken a backseat to political expediency. Labour has always had a counter-extremist problem. We know that's true within the Labour Party, of course. And after 2 decades of work I've done in the area which started post-7/7 under the Blair government, Labour continues to flounder in challenging Islamism in Britain, of course. And the Muslim Brotherhood in the UK is still not a prescribed organisation. In fact, Antifa yesterday was prescribed in the United States. So, of course, there is the possibility that can happen, but for some reason, our governments don't want to do it. Now, here's a comment that was quite interesting as well. It says here from Stephen, here's the circle I cannot square. Muhammad believed Islam was the most perfect form of government and felt he had a duty to replace non-Islamic institutions with Sharia institutions by conquest if necessary. So that made him an Islamist. Of course it did. Yeah, of course it did. There's no two ways about it. So if Muhammad was an Islamist, I'll take this further in a second, it follows that all Muslims who are true to their faith must also be Islamists, since the words and deeds of Muhammad are a source of Islamic law. Now, there's nothing complicated about any of this. Islam and Islamism are the same thing. And a reply to it, correct, there is no distinction. Every facet of this ideology, and notice the man here says ideology, as I say. I don't call this a religion, I call it an ideology. It claims to be the final word of a god. It invades and strangles the host country from within, with a higher birth rate, no-go areas, the rise of subculture through the infiltration of schools, local communities, institutions and commerce, and our entire public sector, including the military, by the way. There are already areas of this country the vast majority of Telegraph readers wouldn't dream of buying a home and raising children. And that is the truth. Another part of the truth, of course, is that the Prophet Muhammad is seen as being the most ideal person to follow. You try and live your life like this person. Of course, he was a 54-year-old man who'd married Aisha at the age of 6. He had 2 wives already, and he consummated that marriage with her. So he had sex with this girl when she was 9 years old. Now, this is something that Muslims, when you speak to them, they can't square it. They can't. You say to them, do you condone that behavior? And they will just be silent. And if you are a Muslim, hit the comments down here and tell me how you deal with that. Like if Muhammad was such this perfect person that you want to follow, how do you square yourself away with that particular fact? Because if they are the most perfect person, surely you condone that activity. A quick advert for Ground News, who sponsor this channel, luckily, because YouTube ain't giving me no money, fam. You know what I'm talking about. All the stories you'll find on the front page here that are current. However, you can search for stuff in the bar at the top. When you click on a story, then it will show you here, look, what's left-leaning, centre or right-leaning. It's a right-leaning story. Let's click on it. And then straight away it gives you a summary at the top there. All the stories here, down there. You can even expand it for more articles if you want at the bottom. On the right here, it shows that there's 34 articles. There's 5 left, 14 right, and then there's 5 centre. Below it then, the bias distribution shows that this is a right-leaning article, and you can see here Fox News, Israel, all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? Here, factuality, expand that. You can see which ones are more factually correct than others, and so you can see who owns it as well. Where are your biases in this? Click on the article if you want. You'll go straight to that website then, and at the top you can see there's a bar that drops down as well, again showing where these biases are. You can then look at left-leaning articles and right-leaning articles and not get sidetracked by the mainstream media. 40% off, thank me later. And this is a graph then from the US talking about women versus men and the radicalization of each, basically. And it says from about 2010 then, women tended to become more liberal as opposed to more conservative. And we can see in these scenes here, we've got on one side of the street someone with an English flag, and there's a flag of the Union behind. Opposite side, we have all these Palestinian flags, and it's children, it's a game for them. Children, like, and I'm not talking about the girl in front here, I'm talking about the lady you can't even see behind me, this lady here, shouting away. Who are these people? Why have they got jobs? Probably the same as these people. It makes you kind of embarrassed to be from the same nation as these people. But the truth is, there are things you can do as an individual. We'll cover them in a second. Now, Stephen Edgington is a very good journalist, actually. I support him from the very beginning of his career. Here he talks to Chris Phillips, Conservative for Croydon South, I believe it is, About the difference, well, it's about immigration. Have a listen to this.
Now, I know Reform talk a very good game. Nigel Farage is charismatic, I'll give him that. They've got good slogans. Right? What they haven't done, what Reform hasn't done, is come up with these detailed ideas that we have to basically fix these problems going forward. And that is the difference between us, and that's the new approach we're taking.
Isn't the actual difference between you and Reform that you are the only party that has let in 1 million Indians, 500,000 Nigerians, 300,000 Pakistanis, 84,000 people from Ghana, 93,000 from Zimbabwe, and so on? That's the real difference.
That's why you can't trust Conservatives when they say they're going to sort the immigration problem out. That's why you can't trust Labour. You can't trust Reform. There is no one you can trust politically. I've said this before, guys. And this graph here shows in red the non-EU immigration. We can see how it shoots up in the UK from about 2020, which was not only the time of COVID, but it was also the time of Brexit. See, before that, we had a lot of EU coming in here, as you can see. And of course, after that, we had non-EU in. Well, basically, we're being punished, aren't we, by the European Union? And it's been flooded. Who was in power at that time? Well, it was Conservatives, of course, wasn't it? But it doesn't mean that Labour have done anything to stop this. Now, it says here, the red represents, I'm reading off the screen here, guys, the red represents non-EU third world migrants who have moved the UK in order, the top 5 nationalities, Indian, Nigerian, Pakistani, Chinese, and Zimbabwean. Anything that happens to these people in this country is directly the fault of politicians. Directly the fault of politicians. And you can look at it two ways, can't you? Beneficial migration, up to about 2020. Detrimental migration. That's all it is. It's that simple. Now, as I've said, I've got no issue at all with individual Muslims, but I do have a massive issue with Islam. In this Christian land, as a Roman Catholic man, have a listen to this guy.
Enforce the Muslims to take up their British values. Now, we don't like your culture. We don't like your gambling and your homosexuality and your promiscuity and your man-made laws. We don't like that. I think what we've got is better. We'll keep to that. No thanks.
You see, mate, I believe, and the majority of people like me also believe, that Christianity is the better way of life. You come to my country telling me that you think it's Islam. I never go to your country saying that, but you come to my country. That's where we stand toe to toe. And the difference between you and me, mate, is I'm not a low IQ inbred idiot that goes around raping British women. That's not me, mate. That's not me. That's you. That's the problem we've got, guys, because you cannot have a nuanced or complex open dialogue with these people because they're low IQ. It's through the floor. That's the issue we're having. And it is taking over the world. This is Melbourne, Australia. This is a show of force. This is a dominance act in a Christian country. This is the problem we're happening. And the truth is, because we've got so many people who are accepting and are liberal, they are allowing this to happen. Before, we can't do anything. It's going to be too late. We cannot act on this. It will be too late to act on this unless we do something now. And again, what we're seeing here is visits to mosques. It's happening in the UK as well. There's a kid here, this little Muslim kid, whatever, turning around to a guy, this young man here, and saying, pull your socks up, because in Islam, we cover our knees. And so the guy does it. The guy's not Islamic. The young white kid here is not an Islamic kid. You've got to, this is the problem you've got. You've got to stop your kids being indoctrinated by this, because it's not this kid's fault. He's a child, but you can see what's happening. All of a sudden, there's a power play. It's wrong, guys.
We're the terrorists. You mock my hijab. You curse my prophet. You insult and use my scripture. You step on, spit, and burn my holy book. You insult my God. You kill my people.
I'll leave it there, guys. But as I've said, don't rely on your government. It's fitness, family, finance, fuel, and faith. It's about you. And it's about your community. It's about what you do. You need to stand toe to toe with people and say you're not going to tolerate what's going on. I always say, back up and step up. Look to the left. Hello, bro. What's up? Look to the right. Mate, you down for this? That's good. Let's 3-1 step up and secure that threat that's coming at us. All right. Tim Davies, Fast Jet Performance.